We are so excited about this morning's session and how impactful the commitments you're going to hear about will be on a range of issues affecting women and girls. And it certainly is, for me, a special treat to be working with my daughter on the Clinton Foundation's initiative called No Ceilings, the Full Participation Project. As you can see, Chelsea has a few other things going on these days, but her commitment and energy to this cause are really inspiring to all of us. Chelsea and I were able, when she was quite young during Bill's presidency, to travel to many places around the world. And we were thinking the other day about a village we visited in Pakistan nearly 20 years ago, a few months before the Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing. And we met a woman in this village, which was about 45 minutes outside of Lahore, and she was the mother of 10, 5 boys and 5 girls. She was very proud of the fact that there was now a school in her village, and all of her children, the boys and the girls, went to that school, which was a primary school. But then when it came time to go to secondary school, she was only able to send her sons. And the school only accepted boys in part because there were great fears about sending one's daughters to a secondary school a few miles away. And so her daughters had nowhere to go, and we were sitting under a tree talking with a lot of the women from the village, and this particular woman who was very outspoken, I think you'd have to be very outspoken to have 10 children, 5 of whom were boys, and she was extremely passionate in telling us how much she wanted her daughters to have the same opportunities. Well, Chelsea and I listened to that, and we never forgot her passion and her impressive presentation. So a year into our work at No Ceilings, the data that we are collecting to demonstrate the progress that has been made and yet the work that still needs to occur to make sure that even more girls have educational opportunities, tells us that this is unfortunately still too common. The good news about the Millennium Development Goals is that over the past 20 years, we have nearly closed the gender gap in primary education. A lot of schools, like the one we saw in the village that day, have provided a primary education to girls and boys. But too many who aren't getting the opportunity to go on to secondary schools because of safety issues, very clearly, they are, still behind. Now, we all know the story of what happened in Pakistan when a 15-year-old girl named Malala was shot in the head for suggesting girls in the Swat Valley had the same right to an education as their brothers. And we all know, and we heard from the Nigerian finance minister yesterday to remind us to keep in mind the more than 200 girls who were kidnapped from a secondary school and remain missing to this day. But there are so many stories that don't make the headlines, but we know the lack of secondary education holds back the hopes and aspirations of girls and their families and undermines prosperity and stability around the world. So as the 20th anniversary of the conference in Beijing approaches and the world considers a new set of sustainable development goals, it's time both to celebrate the progress we've made and to redouble our efforts on the unfinished business that remains, and to ensure that children everywhere, girls and boys alike, have the opportunity to complete secondary schooling. We know when girls have equal access to quality education in both primary and secondary schools, cycles of poverty are broken, economies grow, glass ceilings crack, and potential is unleashed. So over the past year, the Clinton Foundation has worked with the Center for Universal Education at the Brookings Institution in Washington, which for years has provided top-notch research and policy recommendations on this issue to determine what's next for global education. And as a result of an enormous amount of hard work by dedicated people, today I am proud to announce CHARGE, the Collaborative for Harnessing Ambition and Resources for Girls' Education. This is one of our most exciting and biggest CGI commitments this year. More than 30 partners have committed $600 million to reach 14 million girls over 5 years. And the scale of the commitment matches the gravity of the challenge. Ensuring that every girl receives a quality secondary education will take all of us, governments, civil society, the private sector, multilateral organizations, the entire international community, all working together. Today, I'm joined by leaders from Nepal and Norway, from Malawi, the United Kingdom, and the United States, all of whom have offered their strong support. We have representatives from organizations, both international and, importantly, at the local level, who bring much-needed expertise and on-the-ground experience to this effort. Our partners will focus on South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, where we find the biggest obstacles. So $600 million and 14 million girls in 5 years. That's the charge commitment. Is it ambitious? Yes. Is it achievable? Absolutely. Especially with leaders like former Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard, who before being Prime Minister served as an education minister, and she is spearheading this effort on behalf of Brookings. Now, Julia has shattered her own share of glass ceilings and has shown extraordinary energy and drive in making sure girls and women have the same opportunities around the world. Since joining Brookings and as board chair of the Global Partnership for Education, she has made it her mission to improve global education for all children. She understands the barriers that prevent girls from completing school, and she's determined to break them down once and for all. In a minute, you will hear from her. But before you do, I am pleased to be joined by the following supporters of this commitment to action. Please welcome Patricia Kaliati, Minister of Gender, Children, Disability, and Social Welfare of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Yagna Bahurda Karikihi, member of the National Planning Commission of the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, Christy Vilsack, Senior Advisor for International Education of the United States of America at USAID, Elsa Frey, Policy Advisor for the Department for International Development of the United Kingdom, Irina Bokova, the Director General of UNESCO, Nora Files, the head of the United Nations Girls Education Initiative Secretariat, and Dr. Geeta Rao Gupta, Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF. Please give all of our participants here a round of applause. And while they take their seats, let me ask you to join me in welcoming former Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard.
Thank you very much, and I am so honoured to be here representing the Centre for Universal Education at Brookings, and I want to specifically acknowledge a wonderful team led by Rebecca Winthrop. They have done remarkable work on this initiative. Can I acknowledge too, and I feel so honoured to join Secretary Clinton on this stage. Secretary Clinton, as always, you inspire us with your lifetime commitment to equality for women and girls. And it has been tremendous to work with Chelsea Clinton too, and to hear new passion and a new voice for a new generation. So a very big day. And we are joined by so many people making remarkable commitments so that this initiative is possible to ensure that girls can charge. We want girls to come forward, to have a great education and to have the empowerment that comes with that education, to have a life full of opportunity and choices because we have enabled them to secure a great education and a great start in life. This is an ambitious program, but what it's aimed to do is address the 5 core challenges, what we are referring to as the second generation issues in girls' education. Girls' Charge is about addressing the things that are holding girls back today. So yes, of course, it's about access. We've got to get girls into school and we've got to ensure that they finish not just primary school but also secondary school. And at the current pace of change, it will take 100 years for all girls in sub-Saharan Africa to finish junior secondary school. That's not anywhere near acceptable. We want to ensure that there's more access. The second issue, to protect girls from violence and attack. Today, there are 15 countries that we can count where girls and their schools are specifically attacked. We know from Malala and we know from what happened in Nigeria, the anti-girl pathology must be ended. Third, learning, the challenge of learning to ensure girls and boys learn well when they are in school. Globally, there are 250 million children who have not mastered the basics. A majority of them have actually spent 4 years in school, but they still haven't mastered the basics. Fourth, transitions, to help girls transition from school to the world of work and higher education. We want to broaden their horizons so that the girls who do make it through secondary education successfully transition into the world of work. And fifth, but by no means least, leaders, to support local developing country leaders. Progress in girls' education has been made in areas where barriers have been removed, but that progress has been made when there has been high quality local leadership. We need to find, nurture and support those leaders. Girls' Charge is starting today. I am going to honour and acknowledge those who have made a commitment. But please come and join us. The door is well and truly open for more people to lend their efforts and their support to this initiative. So I welcome you and encourage you to attend the session that's starting on girls' education at 11 a.m. right here at CGI. It's a very special pleasure for me now to honour the partners who have made the Girls' Charge commitment possible, a commitment to address access, safety, learning, transitions and leadership. Here are the people to be honoured, the organisations: the Anita Borg Institute, BRAC, the British Council, CARE, Discovery Communications, Facebook, Google, Gucci in its Chime for Change program, Intel, the Malala Fund, MasterCard Foundation, Pearson, Plan International, the Partnership to Strengthen Innovation and Practice in Secondary Education, Room to Read, Save the Children, Shining Hope for Communities, the Study Hall Foundation, and the very important Teach for All. I also acknowledge we're joined by Alice Albright, the Chair of the Global Partnership for Education. Thank you to each and every one of you for your efforts and your commitments. You guys rock, and we are going to honour you now. Thank you very much.
Well, I have to say, as our participants and commitment makers leave the stage, that this is such an exciting commitment. Girls' Charge, as Julia said, really is trying to get ahead of the curve. We know when the Millennium Development Goals are released in terms of their outcomes in 2015, we will see all the progress that's been made on primary education, but we will also see the lack, if you will, the big gap in secondary education. So what this extraordinary group of people and organizations and governments are committed to doing is right now starting to implement actions that will begin to make a difference. And there's such an array of potential opportunities out there. So I would echo Julia Gillard's invitation. If you are interested in education, if you are interested in girls, please consider attending the 11 a.m. Session that will go into more detail about what the specifics will be that various of our commitment makers intend to carry out. And we hope, as we say, within 5 years to make a difference that affects 14 million girls. Thank you all very much.